Hello, and welcome to another Hip Historian Virtual Happy Hour Tour. I am Brenda with AARP. We are the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to more than 100 million Americans 50 plus and their families: health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. AARP also produces the nation's largest circulation publications, the AARP Magazine and AARP Bulletin. To learn more, please visit aarp.org/about-AARP. In the month of June, AARP offers events and enriching experiences close to home and from your home that help you make connections and serve others. While our situations are different, our need for connection is universal. Now more than ever, we know that connecting with family and friends is vital to aging well and living longer and happier lives. Visit us at aarp.org/local for more information. Thank you again, and with that, I'll turn it over to Marshall.
Folks, welcome to the show. Get ready to meet your host for the night, Arizona's very own hip historian himself, Marshall Shore.
Well, hello and good evening. I want to welcome you all to Arizona History Happy Hour. I am so glad you can join us June 29th of 2023. Oh my gosh. Time is just running away. I am so happy you can join us no matter what platform it is, or whether you're listening to us on YouTube or Spotify. I'm just happy you're here as we get a chance to talk about history in Arizona. So my name is Marshall Shore, and I am your host for Arizona History Happy Hour. And, tonight or today is June 29th. And so June 29th, there's a lot going on. I mean, actually, we've pre-recorded this episode because there were so many things going on that one of our guests had a prior commitment. And so, back in 1994, Lake Havasu reached the hottest degree, 128 degrees in Lake Havasu, right on the side of the lake. That must have been sheer delightfulness. Also at U of A, University of Arizona, back in 1895, on today, they had their very first commitment ceremony with a total of a whopping 3 grads. Today, it is so much more than that. Now, it is also National Mud Day. Mud is really intended to really not just be something we can play with, but it's also intended to create awareness of cleanliness and access to sanitation in different parts of the world. Now, it is also, as we get ready to go into July 4th, it is National Bomb Pop Day, that iconic blue, white, red color made out of frozen sugar water with some other flavorings. That rocket ship that will just carry you along into July 4th and is like an explosion in your mouth. So, if you need a little bit more sugar after having one of those, it is also Almond Butter Crunch Day. So toffee covered in chocolate covered in almonds, a crunchy texture, some caramel flavor, and oh my gosh, some good deliciousness. And, it is also Hug Holiday. A hug is a simple way to express many different types of affection, whether it's a friendly affection, intimate, or more to family. Celebrate a hug holiday by getting your hug on today. What can you expect from tonight's show? Well, We always have a little bit of trivia. We have From the Vault, which is something you might drive by on a daily basis or not and just not even know what's there. We also have Little Arizona, as well as some music, history, a beverage, and of course, some special guest. All right. Well, if this is your first time watching, you might wonder, who is that man and why is he on my screen? Well, you know, my name is Marshall Shore. As I said, I got here 23 years ago to Arizona. I was working in Brooklyn Public Library at a beautiful Carnegie building, but you know, there was that thing called snow. And so I decided to trade all that for a little library in South Phoenix that had a rich oral tradition of the community and lots of sunshine. So that was my first introduction to Arizona, was through people's stories, and that hasn't stopped. Nowadays, they're in a much nicer building, but still love that community. Now, as soon as we got here, we promptly moved into a beautiful 1956 ranch that used to be outside, oh, so many tones of beige. I'm happy to say now it is seafoam and cantaloupe, just 2 colors. And there's what my kitchen looks like today. All that buttercream yellow tile, the matching cabinets that are all original as well. And so that's, our house is kind of a time capsule. And this is what my living room looks like today. As soon as I got here, all I kept hearing about how there was no history here. But I knew that wasn't true, because anytime I basically traveled anywhere, whether it was on a bus, on a bike, on foot, on a scooter, on a train, in a car, it didn't matter. I kept running across so many amazing people, places, and stories. Now, as the hip historian, I get to do a wide variety of things. In fact, we just, you have summer reading going on throughout Maricopa County right now. And so I just round up doing 3 or 4 programs off in libraries across the valley. I know I have one more coming up on movie history out in Sun City coming up next month. So be sure and check and see if I'm going to be in your neighborhood do anything. We just did an LGBTQ plus story time, community history, with my friend Peter, talking about from New York, Stonewall, to Phoenix and more. So you can check that out on AZ Gay History for more information. Hopefully soon on Spotify as well. I'm also right in the middle of working on an LGBT book of Phoenix history. That's been quite interesting, and I'm learning a ton about Phoenix. Now, you can also reach out to me, whether it's through the chat, or you can reach out to me through Facebook, Instagram, email, or even through my website. I love to hear from you all. That's how I get some of my best source of information. So please ask your questions. Now, tonight we're going to talk about a little town in Arizona called Bisbee, Arizona, a population of just over 4,900. It was founded back in 1880. And I just realized I've got the county wrong. So, but you know, whenever I'm down in Bisbee, I love to check out the museum, because that's a great way to learn about Bisbee history. They are a Smithsonian affiliate, and you'll find out that, you know, the town off in the Mule Mountains was one of the richest mineral sites in the world, producing gold, copper, silver, lead, zinc. And by the early 1900s, it was a boom town, was the largest city in the Arizona territory with a population of over 20,000. It also was one of the most cultured sites in the Southwest. It had a ball field, Warren Ballpark, that's still there. It was the site of Arizona's first golf course, the State Community Library, which is still in operation and is fun to go visit. They recently won Best Small Town Library in the country. So go check them out. And, you know, and here's what the library looks like. You've got the post office on the ground floor, and then that library above it. I mean, what a quaint little picturesque town. Now, everything was going along well until the mid-70s, when kind of mining stopped. But that opened the door for even more folks to come in. And so it is still a culturally rich community that has an active and varied population that has moved in and is well worth checking out, whether you like to stay in a hotel like the Copper Queen, the classic, or you can stay in someplace like the Shady Dell, where you can stay in a vintage aluminum trailer, maybe a boat, maybe a bus. Check it out. They also have a little Valentine diner, which is just adorable. So check out the Shady Dell. It is also home to Greenway Manor, which was originally built for mining executives. And so it actually has housing off to the side for folks. So it's also kind of an Airbnb meets manor. We've been doing events there through the last year. So check it out. It's a beautiful house. And if you like, because Bisbee is built kind of in the mountains, it has lots of stairs. And so they do a fundraiser where you get your chance to climb 1,000 of those stairs. It also is home to one of the best prides in the country that just happened a couple weeks ago. And, with the mine closing down, they brought in tourism. So you actually can get a go into the Queen Mine and take a tour with someone who used to work in the mine. So you hear firsthand what it was like to be there. And of course, it is a happy hour, and PJ has provided a cocktail that is appropriate for today because it is the Bomb Pop. So it's a 3-layered beverage. You have red, which is raspberry strawberry Cosmo, made with hibiscus, ginger, cardamom, and kaffir lime. As well as the white is pina colada with cream de coconut, pineapple, and Appleton Estate rum. And the blue is blue curacao. And so whenever PJ gives me a challenge, so how did I do? You actually get to see the 3 layers in there, which is nice. Okay, so that is the perfect beverage as we get ready to move into the 4th of July. Oh my. All right. All right. And now, it's my favorite time of the show, and possibly yours as well, because this is where you get to hear from someone else other than just me about some Arizona history. So tonight, oh my gosh, I am going to bring on Gregg and Michael from the Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to learn all about the history of the chamber and so much more. So let's bring on these gorgeous men. All right. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Oh my gosh, it is so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Wonderful to see both of you.
So let's start with you, Gregg. So Gregg, for folks who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Gregg Edelman, and for the last 18 years, I've been running Exposed Studio and Gallery, which is an art gallery and one-of-a-kind gift shop. I'm also a commercial photographer. I've been involved in the gay community here since about 1991. Started with the chamber in 93. I got involved because I met my husband, who was president at the time, Harvey Unti, when he was president of the Camelback Business and Professional Association. And we've been together ever since, 33 plus years, and just doing well. I got 2 dogs and living life and happy and doing what we can to support our community here.
Indeed. All right. And Michael.
Well, what was the question?
Tell us a little bit about yourself, because not everybody knows who the fabulous Michael is.
Who am I? Okay, my name is Michael Mazzocco. I'm the board chair for the Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce. I've held that position for the last 2 years. I've been involved with the chamber since 2007. And I work in the events industry. I currently have my own company, Michael Mazzocco Events, that I started in 2017. And I have the pleasure of working with a lot of in-home clients and hosting their events in their homes, and also a number of nonprofits from the Southwest Center for HIV/AIDS to Free Arts, Check for a Lump, and several others, and with their fundraising events.
And so what are you doing tonight, Michael?
So tonight is actually 1 in 10's unveiling for their Dancing with the Bars. And it's going to be at Cobalt from 5:30 to 7:30. The Chamber is one of the sponsors of the event, and I have a couple friends that are dancing in it.
Oh, very cool.
Cool.
You know, it's Pride Month. There's so much going on. It's like tonight also at Dialogue, the ASU Art Museum director is doing a presentation about kind of gay artists, 60s to the present.
Interesting.
So much stuff going on. You know, as Pride Month is starting to wrap up, there's lots of activities going on.
There are, and I think that it's so much fun being here in Phoenix because we have all of this in June, and then several organizations also have Pride programming in October for Phoenix Pride. So I know that the Phoenix Art Museum will do a couple programs based around the LGBTQ community, specifically ACI, which is Arizona Costume Institute, will do an androgynous fashion and androgyny event. And that's crazy interesting and so exciting that our arts and community organizations are supporting the LGBTQ community.
Indeed. Yes. Very much looking forward to that. And I mean, the Art Museum just has so many great things. So
they do.
So, all right. So we've got some trivia coming up. And so, you know, our trivia here is not like bar trivia, where it's like, we don't just care, do you know the answer, yes or no, and then we're done with you. No, because what we'll do is we go through all of our questions. They're all multiple choice. So even if you don't know the answer, just take a stab at it because you might get it right. And then we're going to come back and talk about the history behind each of those answers. And for me, that's where all the fun is. So, all right. So without any further ado, let's get this ball rolling. All right. So what was the original name of the Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce? Was it A, the LGBTQ plus Chamber of Commerce, B, the Gay Commerce Chamber, C, the Camelback Business and Professional Association, D, the Phoenix Business and Professional Association? So which one of those do you think was the original name for the Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce? All right, moving on to question 2. What movie was released the same year the chamber was founded? Was it A, Xanadu back in 1980? Was it B, The Birdcage from 1996? C, Desert Hearts from 1986? Or Paris is Burning, D, for 1990? So which movie do you think was released the same year the chamber was founded? All right. The Arizona Lottery has a daily pick game, which is the same number of names that the Chamber of Commerce has had since its origin. And how many names has it had? Is it A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, or D, 4? All right. For all you folks who were lottery players, this was an easy one. All right. Question 4. Who was the original founder of the chamber? Was it A, Daphne Budge? Was it B, David Edwards? Was it C, Meredith Pope Wood? Or, oh, and I made a mistake there, D, all of the above. All right. So who do you think was the original founder of the chamber? All right, moving on to that midway point. Where is the oldest LGBTQ plus chamber in the U.S.? Is it A, right here in Phoenix? Is it B, back in New York? Is it C, San Francisco? Or D, Los Angeles? So what community do you think has the oldest LGBTQ chamber in the country? All right. Coming down off that halfway point, the chamber came out of the closet the same year as what event? A, the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell back in 2010. B, the state of Vermont legalizing civil unions for same-sex couples back in 2000. C, the Arizona legalized same-sex marriage back in 2014, or D, Bisbee legalizing civil unions for same-sex couples back in 2013. So what event do you think happened the same year the chamber came out of the closet? All right. Question 7. Whose idea was the name change? Was it A, Gregg Edelman, B, Bill Gemmell, C, Michael Mazzocco, or D, Barbara Seville? So whose idea was that name change? Question 8. Who was not one of the board members for the chamber? Was it A, Steve May, B, Daphne Budge, C, Gregg Edelman, or D, Bill Gemmell? All right. So only one of those was not on the board. All right. Question 9 as we come to the end. What Chinese zodiac animal corresponds to the year the chamber hosted the Western Business Alliance Conference? Is it A, the dragon, B, the snake, C, the horse, or D, the goat? What Chinese zodiac corresponds when the chamber hosted the WBA conference? All right. And our last question of the night. What was the name of the chamber's first paid executive director? Was it A, Rusty Warren, B, Katie Hobbs, C, Deanna Jordan, or D, BJ Budd? All right. Well, you are locking in your final answers. We are going to take a quick Arizona music break as we get a chance to talk about the Pubes, which is a local lesbian band. They kind of started off originally as a joke. They were goofing off and decided, what if we had a band that basically every song started with, wouldn't it be funny if there was a song called this? And since 2006, they have been doing exactly that with tracks like Camel Toe, Razor Burn, Red Riot, and even more graphic lyrics. They did record an album live at the Cash Inn. And so you can still see them around town. Sometimes they even play up in Cottonwood. So they are still very much around and still quite active. So go check out the Pubes. All right. So now we're ready for some answers. All right. Indeed. So this is where the fun starts happening. All right. So what was the original name of the Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce?
That was C, Camelback Business and Professional Association.
So Greg, so you were around in these early days.
I was. Back in 95, I joined the board as VP under Donna Seitz, and everything was going very well. We were increasing our membership. We were doing a lot of community involvement. We had created the Camelback Business and Professional Association Scholarship Fund, and we were just doing what we needed to do to help network our businesses and help our business owners and managers, be comfortable in their skin and be out and, be comfortable. We did have a social aspect to the chamber, to the organization at the time, because we had some, especially teachers and administrators that were still in the closet due to work issues. They were still not able to come out. So besides our business aspect, we had a social for them. And then towards the end of that decade, I went to a national association meeting and realized that we needed a change. And so that's where we decided to start making changes to move forward.
And I think some of those changes might be coming up in future questions.
Exactly.
Can I ask a question, Marshall?
Of course.
Greg, which event was the National Association that you went to, that you attended?
It was the NB, whatchamacallit, not the Western Business Alliance, but the one on the East Coast. I'm having a brain fart.
Not NGLCC, right?
Yes,
Oh,
NGLCC.
it was
Yes.
NGLCC. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. And believe it or not, I wrote it down and I didn't look. I'm getting old.
Well, and I love this, and I found an ad from back when it was still called the Camelback Business and Professional Association, back when you held a meeting at Pookie's.
Oh, yes.
Funny. Wow.
Which is long since closed. All right. So, what movie was released the same year that the Chamber was founded? 1980 for Xanadu.
That's fantastic.
I mean, and that was just a year before Phoenix Pride became a thing. I mean, there were events going on around town and throughout the state, but that was really just before. So there was a lot of activity going on in that time frame when it was founded, which I think is kind of fun.
Absolutely. I mean, that was only 11 years after Stonewall riots. And so, considering Frank Kameny had been, beating his drum for the homophile movement, as it was called in the 50s, for, I think 15 years before Stonewall, and then for that much to happen in those 11 years, that was a lot of progress from 69 to 1980.
Indeed, and we're still progressing. I mean, now you have the whole Melrose or the Gayborhood.
Yes,
we do.
With its own archway and everything else. I mean, and that's an exciting strip. There's lots going on along there right now.
There is. The Melrose District, just in the last 20 years, has regentrified. We have, I think at the current moment, I think we have 9 or 10 actual identifiable gay and lesbian LGBTQ owned business owners that identify that way. And almost everybody else in this neighborhood is just a super ally. They know the area, they know what they're here for. They support the organizations, they support our community. The 7th Avenue Merchants Association is just spectacular. They really are.
And they do a big event as well.
They do. The first Saturday of every March here in the Melrose District, we do the big 7th Avenue Street Fair. And it brings anywhere from about 18 to 20,000 people in that one day.
Yeah, no, it's such a fun day.
It is. And it's super gay. And it's not just for everybody.
But everybody's welcome. I mean, that's the beautiful thing is everybody's out and about. I mean, it can take you hours to walk around just because you keep running into so many people you know.
It is. It's great. Besides the entertainment and the food and the beer gardens and all the arts and crafts and just the food trucks and the stuff for the children. It is absolutely, it's one of Phoenix's, I think, best street fairs. I think it's amazing.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like you said, Marshall, everyone is welcome. And it's almost like come as you are and be who you are, right? Because you have families, pushing strollers of all varieties, and couples of all varieties. It's so exciting and thrilling and just beautiful to walk that and see everything that is available and possible here in Phoenix.
Yes. And we appreciate everybody that supports all the businesses here in the district also.
Indeed. All right. So the Arizona Lottery has a daily pick game, which is the same number of names that the Chamber has had since 1980. And it is pick 3. So for all you folks who go play the lottery, go out there and do your pick 3. And so, okay. So what were the 3 names for the Chamber?
Go ahead.
We had the Camelback Business and Professional Association, and then it changed to the Greater Phoenix Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce.
That's a mouthful.
Indeed.
And then we changed the name to the Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce. And that name has been a little contested, but we felt that we wanted to represent the entire community and make sure that the entire community was welcomed and included within this chamber. It wasn't just gay and lesbian, but it was the entire LGBTQ plus community.
Right. And all those allies and.
Correct.
So, yeah, so I think it's interesting. I mean, Greg, because you were talking about how when you came back from that original conference that you attended, that you started making motions to kind of change the organization. It sounds like this may have been one of those changes.
It was. We were finding that the organization had kind of stalled out, and we needed to make a change, and we found we needed to be more inclusive and out of the closet. You know, the Camelback Business and Professional Association did not say gay and lesbian in it. And so we felt it was time to come out of the closet. And in 2000, that's when we did that. And just like in history, things evolve, things change, we change. People become more observant, more accepting. And so just like evolution, we have to change and move with it.
Indeed.
Go ahead, Marshall.
No, but no, that's I was going to say exactly. I mean, times are always changing and evolving.
Right. And there are still major LGBTQ chambers around the country that do not include verbiage that denotes they are an LGBTQ chamber. So they are still in the closet, including one that we're going to talk about later in this trivia. But yeah, it's still a process. We're still coming out.
Indeed. All right. So who is the original founder of that Camelback Business Association?
That was Daphne Budge. Originally, before it even became the Camelback Business and Professional Association, Daphne held a small networking group, and it originally just started with her and a few of her girlfriends. And it just snowballed throughout the years.
Oh, I didn't understand it started off very informal.
Very informal, yes.
Oh, wow.
Very informal. And then it wasn't until 1980 that they officially put down on paper that they're going to be an organization.
Okay.
So, No, go on, Michael.
I was just going to say, I wonder when they first started meeting. That would be interesting to know.
It was about 2 years prior.
Okay.
Okay.
It took them about 2 years to figure out that they wanted to have an official group.
Very cool. All right. Where is the oldest LGBTQ plus chamber in the country? San Francisco. And Michael, what is the name of that organization?
The Golden Gate Business Association. And they are still the Golden Gate Business Association. They never came out of the closet. Now, we all know everything in San Francisco is a little gay, and that's fabulous. And that's why we all love San Francisco. So, but yeah, they've never changed their name. And they are definitely experiencing a renaissance right now. So good for them.
That's good. But luckily, their logo indicates the rainbow flag. So I think that plays a part into their identification too.
Right. I mean, I thought that, it's a great logo with then the Golden Gate Bridge there and rainbow, but then also the tag of the LGBT plus Chamber of Commerce. So.
Right.
It'd be interesting to find out why they have kept the Golden Gate Association as opposed to rebranding. But
I can see them having the longevity and the the branding of that. Everybody knows that name, but I'm glad to see that they've added the tagline underneath it. That I think makes a huge difference.
Right. I mean, I think the tagline and the logo really kind of help.
Exactly.
So. All right. So the chamber came out of the closet the same year as what event? Oh, and it was the same year that Vermont legalized civil unions. Back in 2000, that name change happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that really was right when you came back.
It was. There was a lot going on, and when I went to the conference, I cannot tell you how energized I was about the changes that were going to be coming forward. I knew it was going to be a fight, and I knew it was going to be a lot of work. And I came back and we had a long discussion with the board, and the consensus with the board and Bill Gimmel, who was my vice president back then. Everybody was all for it. You know, we knew there was going to be hurdles. We knew we were going to have some push and shove on it, but we decided that we had to, for our own sake of mind and for the community. So it was good. And it's just been snowballing ever since. And Michael right now has the helm and is absolutely amazing. And I see us going even further. And we have a lot of fighting to do still right now. It's horrible. We're going backwards in this country, and we, as a community, as a gay community, and inclusiveness, we have to let people know that, you know, we're here and we're not going anywhere.
Right, absolutely. I think that solidarity is so important right now. And like Gregg said, we're here, we're queer, we're in business. You know, let's talk about it. Let's make it work.
Indeed. All right. And that original name change, as we keep talking about, was indeed Gregg.
I had a lot of help.
I have, right. You know, I mean, within any organization, there's no one person doing it all.
Exactly.
There's at least a handful of folks doing the work.
Like I said, when I came back, our board of directors at the time, everybody was just, as soon as they heard that we were going to change from a social kind of a quasi-business organization to a full chamber of commerce, I cannot tell you, from our treasurer to our secretaries to all our members, everybody was just so excited. They were behind us 100%. So it was wonderful. It really was. And it's nice to see. I'm going to get a little emotional. It's nice to see that the organization is still going strong.
Mm-hmm.
So
Gregg,
Michael, how long has that name Equality Chamber been in?
So we decided to make that change in 2000. And there was discussion of becoming or taking the name, the Chamber of Commerce, out of the name and becoming a business association, still operating as a Chamber of Commerce, but taking that name out. And there were members of the board that were emphatic that we kept Chamber of Commerce in the name, because that was so groundbreaking when we did that change originally, that we didn't want to lose that momentum and that part of our identity. And so we tossed around several ideas, including Rainbow Chamber, LGBTQ plus Chamber, but we wanted to find something that didn't leave anyone out, that everyone could identify under, and everyone felt welcome and included. And so that's how the idea of equality and the Greater Phoenix Equality name came into play. So we changed our name, and we were very excited. And I don't see a reason to change it again in 20 years, because it's been changed every 20 years now, 1980, 2000, and 2020.
Right.
So we'll see where we are in 2043, but I don't see us changing our names again.
Very good. All right. Who was not one of those early board chairs? And that would be Steve May. So that leaves that indeed those early board chairs were Daphne, you, Gregg, and Bill Gimmel.
yes. So Daphne was the original president of the Camelback Business and Professional Association. And then when it was time to change, Bill Gimmel and I were the president and vice president of the new and exciting Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. And then the following year, Bill Gimmel took over as president, and he took the reins with his new board of directors and just really expanded everything. I mean, I have to give 1,000% credit to Bill Gimmel. He had the business knowledge and the background to really make it thrive once we made that change.
I think it's also so important, Marshall, to point out that we are not a chamber that is all male dominated, which was suggested to me recently on social media, that we were founded by a person who identifies as female, and have had several male and female board chairs of all cultures and ancestry. And so it is something I'm very proud of, is the diversity that this organization represents.
We even have had an ally as our board chair.
Yes, we have.
Yes, Howard Fleischman.
Oh, wow.
Howard Fleischman and Michael Marcinko.
Oh, that's right. Michael also.
Yep.
So I didn't realize Howard was involved. That's actually really cool.
Yep. It's the history of our leaders. If you go back and take a look, I think it's on the chamber website. In our history, it talks about who's there. Michael's right. The diversity that we've had is just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. I give the chamber here in Arizona so much credit and so many kudos for keeping us relevant and diverse.
And those mixers are so much fun. Again, because of the diversity of folks coming to the table, whether it's business, nonprofit. It's not even just like service industry, but I mean, it's like you wind up with like everything across the board.
You absolutely do. And I think that is still something that needs to be enhanced with our chamber is we know that there are gay construction owned companies out there. Please come find us. We know that there are gay utility workers and tradesmen. Please come find us. We need to all be represented, and we can't do that if we are fractured. So join the chamber. It's $1.99, and I promise I was going to try not to do a membership drive. But come find us and get certified to become an LGBTQBE. It does phenomenal work for our supplier diversity across the nation when a business is certified as LGBTQ owned. So it will help the business, and it helps all of us. So there's just so many reasons to be involved and to be a community like this.
Indeed. All right. So with the Chinese zodiac, what animal corresponds to when the chamber hosted the Western Business Alliance Conference? And that would be the goat for 2003.
I think it's appropriate that we're the greatest of all time.
Exactly. That's kind of what I thought. Well, good. I'm glad you brought it, because I was like, that's what I was leaning towards. So,
and it's wonderful to know that the Western Business Alliance is still going strong. There was a time that we were meeting every other week, and now we all jump on a Zoom call once a month. And I find those calls so incredibly helpful for our organization, because when we started to do the ED search that is finally wrapping up now, but I was able to ask others, how did they go about it? Even though we'd already done one with our organization, I wanted to know how others had done those. Whenever we needed a policy for this or for that, you can reach out to the Western Business Alliance and say, okay, what is everybody doing with this? And I'm getting emails left and right with people's policies and forms, and everyone is sharing so much that there's no need to recreate something that's already been done 25 times in these other organizations. And we are all very much an open book and helping each other grow.
The last time we hosted one was 2003. I think it's time we brought them back and hosted again.
I think you're right.
I know there was an effort afoot to try and at least put our hat in the ring.
That was for the NGLCC conference, which this year I'm attending my third one there. Gregg is right. They are so energizing, so exciting. But this year is going to be in Denver. So we'll be going up to Denver for a week in August. And then next year is in Palm Springs. So that will be very exciting for that town, because that is about 3,000 people. That will take over Palm Springs and their conference center.
Nice.
So hopefully in 25 or 26, we'll be able to get that back. I know the folks at NGLCC are very interested in bringing it here. So with our current governor and current politics as they are, leaning the way they are and doing such great work for our community, I think that is opening up so many doors, and that includes LGBTQ tourism like this.
Indeed. All right. And question 10, what was the name of the Chamber's first paid executive director?
And that was the amazing and sweet Deanna Jordan. She came on board in 2019, and unfortunately, COVID cut that 10 years short. So when COVID hit, chambers all across the country went into a tailspin, right? And so it was a matter of cutting where we could, and that was our only paid staff member at the time. And so we had to let Deanna go at that time period. But it is exciting to announce that we are about a week away from sending out an offer letter to a new candidate for executive director. We've gone through a search over the last 6 weeks. We've got about 90 applications. Interviews started with 15 people, and we did our final round of interviews yesterday. So it is an exciting time for the Chamber because of this. Bring someone on that will help us build and grow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really exciting. I mean, yet again, more change afoot.
Absolutely. We can only do so much as a volunteer-run organization, and people will see that all the time with a lag of email response. But when you're, this is a side gig for all of us, and so people are always a little taken back when I tell them that this isn't my full-time job. This is just what I'm doing on this side, amongst other boards that I sit on. But I am so excited to have someone that will be working on this organization 40 hours plus a week, with the intent of growing and building. So we have a lot of big plans, a lot of exciting plans, and that includes foundations and speakers and new certifications. And so stay tuned. It's going to be a very, very fun ride.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing.
Thank you.
I didn't realize the Chamber went back that far. Back to 1980.
Yeah. And even just a hair before that, unofficially, but
right.
Yeah, Daphne and her group, they felt a need, and they were right.
And it's fun to, whenever we have our meetings with the WBA or the NGLCC, one of the first things we do with all the affiliates, because there are others on the East Coast, and we're one of the oldest chambers, and we were founded in 1995. And those of us on the West Coast kind of giggle, and so we play the game. Okay, raise your hand if you were found before, 1980 or 1985 or 1980 or 1978, and who's still standing in the room. And people don't realize that the LGBTQ chamber movement has been going on for as long as it has. And it is very refreshing and exciting to tell people that Phoenix was at the forefront of this.
So I know San Francisco is the oldest. We must be pretty close to kind of that early adopters.
We are. We're definitely in the top 5. We know that LA is a little older than us, as is Palm Springs, San Diego, and we're not sure of New York or Boston, but we know here on the West Coast, those organizations have gone up and down. So the history is maybe not all intact there. But we know for a fact that San Francisco, LA, Palm Springs are older than us.
Wow.
And San Diego was a huge support when we were going through our change. Their board of directors met with ours multiple times, and they were a nice shoulder to lean on to get us through our change period. San Diego was a real big support.
And they are still doing very exciting things there. The San Diego Chamber, headed up by Eddie. Oh, I can't remember Eddie's last name. Shoot, shame on me. But he not only runs the chamber, he runs a visitor center, the LGBTQ center, and recently just took over as publisher for their printed magazine, the San Diego LGBTQ magazine there. So there's a lot of good stuff and a lot of good models for the Phoenix Gay Chamber to model ourselves back of.
Well, and that's one of the things I always love about Phoenix and Arizona is that it's like we look at other people and listen to what they're doing, but still make it ours. So not just taking it as a carbon copy, but always making sure to put that kind of Western stamp on it.
Yes, absolutely. I think that is something so Arizona is we are still on the wild, wild west. And while we're learning from back east or on the West Coast, we are absolutely making it our own.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marshall. Thank you for keeping this flame going. And thank you so much, Greg, for starting it all.
Thank you, and you're welcome. And I love you both. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
So, I always like to, ask, how did you do? And, I think tonight I just love the stories about how Arizona was looking at inclusion back even that early into the 80s, and how the chamber just keeps growing and evolving and adapting, which I think is so much fun. So that's why I always ask, how did people do? But, really, it's not how you did, because look at the stories. And, and as we get ready to say goodbye to June, if you would like to reach out or find out more about the Equality Chamber, here is their website, equalitychamber.org. You can go there and get more information about events they're doing, when they're doing net mixers. They do things all over the valley. So check them out. They're a pretty good group of folks. All right. So now as we get ready to do From the Vault, since we're kind of saying goodbye to June, which is Pride Month, I thought it'd be kind of interesting to take a look south to Tucson. So basically 47 years ago, earlier this month, Richard Hinken, a 21-year-old who is openly gay, was visiting friends in Tucson from Nebraska, and they were leaving a bar when they suddenly were getting harassed by a group of about 13 high schoolers, aged 15 to 17. And he was attacked. He was rushed to the hospital, but later died of his injuries. His 4 attackers were arrested later that night, and on June 29th, they went into court hearings for first-degree murder. By the end of the trial, they'd been sentenced to probation until they turned 21. This action of Richard Hinken passing away, basically, Tucson became one of the first places in the country to have protection built in to their laws about being gay. And so it also, that next year, they were the first pride to happen in all of Arizona. And this you can find talking about Richard Hinken, and it is just off the 10 a little bit, if you are so inclined to go check it out. And so there you go. So, this is why I always say, if you're watching on Facebook, you should share, because we're going to be having so much fun with Arizona history. And, and that doesn't change from week to week, whether we're talking about something completely new. And so as we get ready for next week, oh my gosh, Dave Temple from Tucson is going to be talking about department stores across Arizona. Some of the history, some of the lore, some of the family, some of those names you might know, but some you don't. And so it's going to be really cool to sit down and chat with him. So I'm really looking forward to next week. That is next Thursday, 7:00. Be here, and be here every week, because it's all about Arizona history. So remember, if you have any questions, comments, I love to hear from you all. You all basically help provide some of the best stories and even some future guests. So thank you all so much. As we get ready to say goodnight, I love to always throw out a thank you to Chris and Cole for that really cool video at the intro, as well as PJ for keeping libations in my glass on theme. Sometime, it's like, trying to figure out where the camera is. So thank you, PJ. And as we say goodnight, I'm going to throw out a video we did for Visit Phoenix, all about the Melrose District. Have a great night, all, and I will see you next week. The Melrose District is located in Phoenix. It's known as the epicenter of the LGBTQ community, 7th Avenue, between Indian School and Camelback. This great little curve in the road, our neighborhood. Melrose is where my life in Phoenix started, and it keeps drawing me back into it because it's always ever changing. I love the fact that you can walk down Melrose and there's brick and mortar shops. There's also that element of, what's going to be here? That element of discovery. We are in an amazing Rise Hotel. You've got some great mid-century architecture. It is possible to go and spend the entire day at Melrose. Great restaurants. Go experience the Fry Bread House. Chic shopping, boutiques. I don't think you'll find a national chain in the entire district. You've got LGBT bars right in the heart of Melrose, and you can pretty much walk from one to the other. Retro Branch, I love that shop. I'm in there all the time. One of the things I love is the 7th Avenue Street Fair. Everybody comes to. They pay homage to the road with a great car show. It really highlights the unexpected. Ride your bicycle, take your pet for a walk, meet friends, and just have a good time. I love the Melrose District. It's really kind of been a magnet to draw creatives to it. I mean, you've got those murals right on the canal. There's live music. Everyone comes out and supports the community. Having a neighborhood is really important. It shows that there's city support for this. I know people who are in places where they still can't do a pride march. Being in a place where the city says, hey, this is our neighborhood, and the community embraces that, the city embraces that, you have a safe space to go hang out. You can be whatever you want to be. Be yourself.